Yet again, Whoopi Goldberg apparently puts her foot in it, as they say. I mean, the amount of times she's come out with some bilge lately, and she's becoming more and more of a bitter, twisted example of a human being. However, this one, she's upset Jewish people. Apparently again, with this news aggregator, which is Ground News, which gives you the left version, the right version, the centrist version, any other version you want. It tells you which way they lean. So ABC Australia, the title goes, Whoopi Goldberg denies doubling down on hurtful comments about the Holocaust. Nothing too extreme there. Right, the Annie News, I think it's Annie News, that's right-leaning. Whoopi Goldberg again apologises for doubling down on controversial Holocaust remarks. Both seem fairly evenly matched on that one. There again, you would be on this particular topic because it's not one that you can get wrong. There is is it the ADL? These people generally will go after people quite hard if they think they're saying something anti-Semitic. So it says here, Whoopi Goldberg says she was not doubling down on hurtful comments about the Holocaust. Oscar-winning actor Whoopi Goldberg has reportedly insisted she wasn't doubling down on earlier comments in which she said the Holocaust was not about race, but rather about man's inhumanity to man or others. Here's the thing. She's kind of got it right and got it wrong, okay? In some ways, look, if she was talking about the camps, it wasn't only the Jewish people that they murdered in those camps or worked to death or they died of dysentery, or call it what you like. Those people didn't put themselves in the camps, so we'll just say murdered, all right? There were lots and lots of Jewish people that were persecuted, rounded up and sent to these camps to die, basically. Fact. How many? That's another thing. However, what always gets brushed under the carpet is the amount of other people that were put into these camps and killed. Say, for instance, gypsies, gay people who, and they also went after people and just literally took them out that were, as they saw it, medically defective or not the perfect specimen. They also did some pretty horrible experiments within these camps. Joseph Mengele, a man that went on the run for some time, he was he called the Doctor Death or the Angel of Death or something like that? And he had a particular fascination with twins. He would take one twin and do different experiments to it and see what would happen. Most evil person in the world. See, the thing is, it wasn't just it wasn't just the Germans that were doing this. Japan had their own version of it, and the emperor was very, very excited about vivisection and other horrible acts, and he enjoyed watching them being basically taken apart with no pain relief at all. He was quite a sick little bunny. And they wanted to cover all this up because they wanted to cover his honour up. However, what was interesting is after all of this went down, the Americans and the English and others who went in there, they took a lot of the doctors away and they took a lot of the information away and they used it. What they used it on, I don't know, but they did. It's a bit like the Von Braun, who was the rocket engineer for the V1, V2 program, who also used slave labor, which also was Jewish, but also was other. There would have been POWs that were used. There would have been, as I say, the gypsies and all sorts of other people that would just work to death, weren't fed properly, died of dysentery, died of all sorts of stuff, as well as, well, just cruelty. So she is right and wrong in that. However, what really, really gets on my top note is everybody always says about the Holocaust, okay, and they talk about the Jews, but they never want to mention the other people that are in these camps. They've whitewashed that out of existence, and I think that is important because the Nazis' inhumanity to other humans is a thing. It's so much of a thing that they documented it, and I do not. I mean, the Nuremberg trials were made in some points very easy for them for the very simple fact that they literally wrote down everything they did. And come the end of the war, they didn't destroy all the files. So they literally piled through these places, picked the files up and just prosecuted them. The words were, we can prosecute them till the cows come home. But they had to draw a line. Another interesting fact after the war, because my granddad actually went in, because he was part of the signals, and went in to open up these camps, and he saw firsthand. Never talked about it, funnily enough. But he was there. But what they did, I think the Americans definitely did it, was they got the local villages and towns, which they believed knew what was going on, and marched them through these camps with all the bodies and everything to see firsthand, so that these people would go on and tell others what had happened and it would never be repeated again. But that's a little bit of history. But so what does it say? In a statement to the US media outlets, Goldberg again apologized after stating in February that the Holocaust involved two white groups of people. Okay. She is pretty anti-white as well in a lot of stuff she comes out with. So there it is. Sparking condemnation from anti-hate groups such as the Anti-Defamation League and its chief executive, Jonathan Greenblatt. Yeah, basically, you do not conflate the two. You have to talk about the Holocaust as a massive purge against the Jews, and you can leave the other stuff out because really we're not interested, which is a shame. There are people that actually think that I'm a Holocaust denier, which I find quite entertaining, given the fact that my grandfather did go in there and it happened. However, I simply said that when it comes to history, history gets re-looked at from time to time, and they find anomalies, changes, other information pops up. So I said that when you said that nothing can be questioned, I disagreed. I said everything is open to a question, but that doesn't say that it's denial. You always find that the outrage, they want to shout and point the finger at everybody as being anti-Semitic because there is an industry in that. Although I truly do agree that there is anti-Semitism out there, but the versions of anti-Semitism, or what you define anti-Semitism as, is something completely different. If you have an outright hatred of a group simply because of their religious or the colour of their skin, right? Say, for instance, you don't like a Jewish person because they are simply a Jewish person. Clearly, you're anti-Semitic. If you criticize a Jewish person for something they've done, right, that's not anti-Semitic, although they do conflate the two, which is wrong. And why should one group never be like, why should you never ever point out the ill doings of that group? It would be racist not to do it. To say that one group cannot be questioned or ever talked about is saying that that group is either too fragile or too incapable to deal with criticism, or too weak, which I don't believe they are. I truly believe that any person out there, if they do something wrong, should have it highlighted and be criticised for it. That's how things work. And when you start picking things and going, you can't talk about them because of reasons, I believe it actually drags more attention to it. It's like the Streisand effect, isn't it? You could look that one up. That's quite an interesting one. But no, we can't talk about it. It just makes people want to talk about it all the more. Unless that was their plan anyway, I don't know. But the Anti-Defamation League, I believe it's called, there were people from within inside the Jewish faith that said, look, whatever you're doing at the moment, you need to calm yourself down because you're actually bringing more problems to Jewish people's doors. You're bringing hate upon us for your aggressive persecution of people who, as we see it, haven't been anti-Semitic. But there you go. Interesting. But that was the left version. Do we bother even going to the right version? Let's see what happens. Lean right. Another interesting picture. Whoopi Goldberg again apologizes for doubling down on a controversial Holocaust remarks. Washington, US, December 28th. American TV host Whoopi Goldberg has again once shared a clarification after appearing to double down on controversial comments she made about the Holocaust earlier this year. According to the E! News, an American entertainment news outlet, clearing up her thoughts on the subject, Goldberg released a statement that read, "Recently, while doing press in London, I was asked about my comments from earlier this year. I tried to convey to the reporter what I had said and why I attempted to recount at that time." So far, so good. "It was never my intention to appear as if I was doubling down on hurtful comments, especially after talking with and hearing people like rabbis and old and new friends weighing in. I'm still learning a lot, and I believe I heard everything everyone said to me. The statement continued. She also affirmed that she believes that the Holocaust was about race, so she's changed there, and said her support for the Jewish community has not wavered and never will. Excellent. I am still as sorry now as I was then. I upset, hurt, and angered people. My sincerest apologies again, especially to everyone who thought this was a fresh rehash of the subject. I promise it was not. At this time, rising anti-Semitism, I want to be very clear when I say I always stood with the Jewish people and always will. The statement concluded. So there you go. Slightly different. But nevertheless, if you're in mainstream media, you do not want to be going after the Jewish group on the whole. You don't want to be even approaching the conversation of the Holocaust unless you truly have all of the figures to hand, you know exactly what you're talking about, and you're willing to get absolutely smashed. Because so many people want to jump on this one and say that what you're saying is wrong, you're anti-Semitic, you haven't got a clue what you're on about, you're hurtful, you're racist, all the rubbish. And it's almost as if there's certain things that are so taboo you can't talk about it. Why? Why is that the case? I never get it, but there you go. Anyway, just thought I'd comment on this because I know that some of the stuff that she comes out with is anti-male, anti-right-wing, anti-white. She's really quite a nasty piece of work these days. And, she's not been very healthy lately. She keeps getting COVID all the time, and that comes as a bit of an odd one, but, well, let's hope she gets well soon. Anyway, all the best. I will carry on. This is the second video today for Reverend Simon Sideways. I've already done one video on each of my other channels, which is Rev on Iran and Simon Evans, and I will probably be doing more videos now on those two other channels. So I will see you on the other two channels shortly. Keep up. I'll see you in a bit.